So there's another very ambitious topic that I'd like to share about, and that is the very vast, infinitely vast, I think, topic of the spiritual path. So really, what is it? How do you approach it? What are some of the pitfalls? What is like living a spiritual life? What are some of the pathways? So it's such an, people write like encyclopedias about this. So obviously I am only limited to my own experience, but I think I have, something I've been quite focused on for the last 10 years, pretty exclusively in my life. So, and, living, in my background, also studying somatic therapy, meditation, doing retreats, yoga, doing yoga teacher trainings, different types of retreats, living in ashrams, and being around my guru for about 3 solid years. So, that I think is really one of the defining schools and learnings that I've had. But so I'd like to share about, what is the spiritual path, how to approach it, my perspective on it. And this video is for people maybe that are just discovering it, have had experiences, and don't know where to turn. It could also be for people that have a lot of experience, and just maybe getting refreshers and reinforcements. So there might be another perspective I have that you're not aware of that can help elucidate things. It could be people that are just curious and have no idea what spirituality is, and just you're curious. So I think it can cover all of these types of people, because it's there's so many layers to it, and it's really a lifetime process. And even if we hear the same thing again and again and again, and that's what satsang is. When you get satsang from a master, they're just saying the same thing in a million different ways, because the nature of the mind is to forget. You can be told something, I can tell you, you are the light of the divine, you have the divine within you, you have the guru within you, and you might feel that in a moment, in a second, in an experience, but then life comes back and we forget it a million times, no matter how many times we repeat it. So in that way, the spiritual path, there's a few different ways to look at it. I think one of the ways is the spiritual path is the path of truth, on the deepest truth of life, and the truth about ourselves, the truth about the outside reality, and all the religions basically say the same thing, that the universe is permeated by the divine, that the divine is one, divine is omnipotent, omniscient, and what's the third one? Omnipotent, omniscient, I forget the third one. All-knowing, all-powerful, all-present, omnipresent. All the religions say this, all the saints say the same thing. And the spiritual path is basically realizing this truth for ourselves. And there's many different philosophies, there's many different religions. My perspective comes a lot from yoga philosophy, from meditation, from somatics, from energetics, and especially from Sanatana Dharma, what's referred to as Hinduism, although Hinduism is not actually a religion. I see it as a religion as something that's like centralized and has rules and things, and Hinduism is or Sanatana Dharma is the path of Dharma, the path of reality. So it includes all possibilities in it. There's nothing excluded from Sanatana Dharma, because everything is reality basically. But it's also a technology that leads us to the ultimate truth. And the beautiful thing that when I was searching around for a spiritual path and I found this, I was immediately drawn to it because takes into account who we are individually. It's not just, most religions, they have, okay, these are the values, these are what you do, but they don't really talk about how so much. I mean, the mystical parts of the religions often get more into that. But, Sanatana Dharma works on all the layers, the mind, the emotions, actions, spiritual practices, and it takes into account then Ayurveda is a part of that. All our constitution, the time of the year, where we live, all these things, relationships, all these things play a part into who we are, and we all have different perspectives, and you can't just, Western society loves to put a formula on things and say everyone do things this way, this is the right way. Science likes to do that, with a formula, but the reality is that we're all totally different, and now science is also understanding that with more, genetic-based medicine and things like that, which has been going on in Ayurveda for so long, and homeopathy and things like that. But so the spiritual path is finding our way there, finding our way to that truth, that reality. And in the beginning, you might have to take someone else's word for it, that, the divine is there's a lot to unpack with, especially in the West, where we're often forced into believing in the divine. We don't really have that experience. We don't have that deep faith ourselves. So we may have a problem, with the idea of God, with the idea of the divine itself. But, you can look at it anyway. You can look at it as the universe. You can look at it as the universal energy. You can look at it as love. All of these things are synonymous with the divine, with God. So, the spiritual paths. Where do I want to begin? So that's kind of an overview of that part of it. And so the technology of it, how do we go forward? A lot of us maybe have had experience, people have experiences with plant medicine. They have an experience maybe in nature. They have an experience, they go on a meditation retreat, or they go to a yoga teacher training, or they go to a kirtan, or they go to a sacred place. Like I remember I went to visit Israel, and I went to the Wailing Wall, and there's something so powerful there. And a few people just burst into tears, not very non-religious people just burst into tears and kind of had breakdowns. And I felt something so powerful at that place, and it's just unmistakable. And there's actually a mental illness that's specific to the Wailing Wall where that happens, like Wailing Wall syndrome, where people have psychotic breaks because of the energy of the divine at those places like that. I think it might happen at the pyramids too, I'm not sure. But so people have experiences and where you see something beyond the normal reality. You see something beyond the way that you're used to seeing things. And sometimes life brings it to you. Sometimes life gives you difficulties that you have to surrender so much that you never thought that you would. And in that surrender, there's some peace, there's something deeper. Maybe in music even. Music can provide, you listen. I remember I was taking the bus to the psychiatric hospital where I was working, and I was just getting so warm. That this process was so intense of working at the psychiatric hospital. It was testing me energetically in a way that I'd never been tested before. I was so open. I was getting cracked open. I was tired because I wasn't used to working 8 hours a day for days on end, especially at such an intense place. And I was listening to this incredible Beethoven piece, and I just started crying. I don't think I'd ever had. I was having a spiritual experience on the bus where I was crying. I was understanding the beauty of life and the power of life and the tragedy of life. So music can do that too, especially classical music or sacred music. So we have these experiences, and then we realize that there's something beyond our normal reality, and we want to access to that. Basically, we want it to be more like that, where they talk about the matrix, and the people, a lot of people feel that the matrix is this external thing, like it's these government forces, these society forces, which of course it is, but the actual matrix is inside of our minds. And when we untangle our mind, we don't have to untangle the whole world to be free of the matrix. When we untangle our minds, the more and more we untangle it, the more we are clear on what's happening, and the more we, as they say in the Bhagavad Gita, as Krishna says, to live like butter floating on water. So being in the world, but not being of the world. Like Yama says, the boat, when a boat doesn't sink because it's on the water, the boat sinks because the water comes into the boat. So how do we live in the world without the water coming into our boat? And that's also spirituality, is having the right knowledge, the right understanding, the right values, and the right perspective, so that we can maintain our center, so we're not influenced by society, so we're not influenced by our, so we untangle the knots of our family upbringing and society and our cultural programming. And so all of spirituality, I feel, is really just that untangling. So once you really believe, okay, the divine is everywhere, we're pervaded by the divine, I have that divine within me, I am that divine as well, I'm a part of it, so then we begin the gigantic, never-ending task of untangling that. And a lot of people, Amma talks of, in the West, it's prevalent with like the New Age people. They can't do anything wrong, everything, they're gods and goddesses 24/7. And in India, Amma says it also happens where people that learn about this non-duality, they just say, I don't need to do any work, I'm already that, I'm already Brahman. So they just kind of sit there and make people cater to them because they're already that, because they read it in a book. But if we really are honest with ourselves, if we really look within, are we really having that experience? That's the difference. We can read it in a book, but is that our reality? And, unless we're enlightened, it's not our reality. And why isn't it our reality? It's basically because of our ego, because of our conditioning. And what our ego is our ego thinks that we are something that we're not. We're identified with something that we're not. We're identified with wounds that we have in the past. We're identified with cultural programmings that we have. We're identified with just beliefs that other people may have given us. All these things layered on top of that divine essence that we are. When we identify with those other things, those human things, those worldly things, then we cannot experience the divine. It blocks us from accessing that because our mind is focused on something else. We may believe, I don't like people, people are scary, people are bad, the world is doomed, I can't be happy unless I have this and that and this and that, I need a relationship, I don't have enough money, I had too difficult of an upbringing, I don't have this and I don't have that. And of course, we need our basic needs to be met. We need to have some safety and stability, but on the ultimate level, like when you look at the lives of the saints, they can come, and especially Amma, you can come from anywhere in any circumstance basically and overcome if you have that, if you have that total surrender and that total identification with the divine, then all the problems just kind of like work themselves out, apparently. And I wouldn't know this for myself. I tried to do it that way, and there's just, life stresses where there were just various life stresses that were too much for me, and I realized, okay, I don't know if I am cut out to be like a monk or a saint. But you can still live a spiritual life, even if you're not a monk or a saint. You can live in the world. And Amma says, you can, if you treat your home like an ashram, you can be just as spiritual as, you can be a swami in your home, essentially, if you have the right perspective and live life with the right orientation. So So let's see, what point was I making? So yeah, this pathway of spirituality, and in the West we have so many things. I don't want to get there yet. So we have to remember that pathway. We have to remember that connection to the divine, and there's a million reasons why we forget it. There's the ego, and we just basically have to start working on it. We have and it's not just thinking about it. Thinking about it and experiencing it are two different things. There is reflection and meditation, but there's also so many other things we have to learn about. And so there's so many different practices that so many cultures have figured out to reconnect us to that essence. There's prayer, there's singing, there's dancing, there's meditation, there's reflection, there's there's neo-tantra, there's classical tantra, there's yantras, there's pujas, there's crystals, there's nature, there's tai chi, breath work, pranayama, there's and basically in Sanatana Dharma there's room for infinitely many paths, basically. So you can use one of those. There might be something you intuitively come to yourself, but especially in the beginning you want to have some sort of structured practice that someone that knows more is recommending. And a lot of people find like a yoga teacher training, or especially like a Vipassana retreat where you're 10 days in silence. Silence is so important because of how much we're socially conditioned, and how much happens there. So doing like a Vipassana retreat, 10 days of total silence, and you're just meditating like 14 hours a day, and you see how crazy, all the craziness of life doesn't stop when you just go sit in a room away from your life. It still is there. The craziness is in our minds as well, and in our emotional patterns and systems. So there's all these different pathways, and it's especially at first, and I'm partly I'm repeating what I've heard from my guru, my teacher, and partly this is from my own experience and intuition. But especially at first you want to have like a discipline. You want to have, okay, I'm going to do yoga every day. I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes, 1 hour every day. I'm going to chant for 30 minutes, 1 hour every day in a focused way, because what you're really doing, you want to set that container where no matter how you feel, it's not just when you like it and when you dislike it. Also, working with our preferences. So not just when I like it, when I dislike it, because if we're waiting till when we like it, if we're waiting till when it feels right and when everything is aligned, that can take a while. And in the meantime, we're just following our same patterns. So learning how to be with ourselves, learning how to sit with ourselves and connect to ourselves even in those more challenging moments. Can I sit and meditate even when my mind is really busy? Can I sit and sing to the divine even when I'm scared, even when I'm sad, even when I'm angry, even when I'm agitated? So when we do those things, then we start to connect ourselves in all the different parts of ourselves to the divine, not just when our mind and our life are totally organized and aligned and we feel like it. So we have all these different practices, and some are going to work better for some people, and some are going to work better for other people. And you want to find one that really works for you and stay with it over time, and not because it's gonna you might discover it at first and it's just so amazing, and like kirtan, you have these incredible experiences, it blows you open, and then after a few months it's not working anymore. So maybe then you should go to pranayama, breath work or something. And that's just the nature of things. Amma says when we clean a room, we dust off the surface, and it seems like there's not a lot there, and then when we get to the mop, then we see, oh my god, this room is so dirty. So in the same way, like in the beginning, it may be really easy and exciting, and then when we, at some point we're going to get to the deeper dirt, and it's going to be hard, and that's when a lot of people jump ship. Westerners are famous for doing that. I remember when I studied Aikido, apparently the Japanese feel like Westerners don't have patience and commitment to see something through all the way. That's like a big part of Japanese culture. They'll like choose Aikido or something and stay with it their whole life, and the Westerners want to do things for a year, a few months, and then just jump to the next exciting thing. So, and I think that seems to almost increase as time has gone on. So yeah, we have these different practices, and yeah, it's important to, things change also over time, but it's important to like go deep into it so we can get the dirt up, so we can really work with ourselves, so we can really go deeper. And another huge part, once we untangle this process of the divine, this process of our relationship to God, it can be really, really helpful to, the Sanatana Dharma, they have they saw these pictures of the divine, of divinities, as a technology themselves. So a lot of people think Hinduism is what's the word? Not monotheistic, but polytheistic. A polytheistic religion. There's Shiva, there's Kali, there's Parvati, there's Lakshmi, there's Krishna. So there's so many gods. Like, how does that make sense with the one, unity God that the Abrahamic religions are talking about? And actually, when you get deeper into it, all of these gods are not seen as separate gods. They're just different kind of energies. Krishna has these divine qualities, and Kali has these divine qualities, and there's so many different. Hanuman has these qualities. Each divinity has so many qualities, but it leads you to the same place. It leads you, it's each person has their own natural thing that they're attracted to. Some people might be attracted to a feminine form of the divine, some people a masculine one, and some people might, Kali has this darker fieriness, and Saraswati has this subtle beautiness, and some people are going to be just really drawn to one or drawn to the other, and they're all just technologies to capture our attention, to capture our visual attention, and to give us a form, because these Abrahamic religions, they have this idea of God that's just like invisible, basically, and it's really hard for the mind to be so subtle to actually perceive that. But we can perceive a form, we can have a picture of a form, we can give flowers to a form and light a candle in front of a form and burn incense in front of a form, and that helps us to connect to it because we're visual creatures. It doesn't mean that that's the actual one divine God, but it helps us, it's like Amma talks about the stairs leading up to the second floor. You need the stairs to go up to the second floor. Once you're at the second floor, you don't turn around and say, oh, these stairs were useless. No, the stairs, even though you're on the second floor and you don't need the stairs anymore, the stairs were important. So we need these stepping stones to take us higher. And once we're higher, we can let them go, but that doesn't mean they're not important. So yeah, having like an altar that, a center for yourself to root into your divine connection is so important. And I feel I'm getting a little off topic here. But yeah, the spiritual path and how it works. Yoga talks about so many branches. There's like 4 main branches of yoga. There's Jnana yoga, that's the yoga of wisdom. That's like, your scriptures, and it's like the more kind of metaphysical kind of perspective, which of course, being intellectually based, a lot of Westerners like want to do that, but the Amma says actually that Bhakti yoga, which is the yoga of devotion, that is more suitable for everybody. People get into so many traps with Jnana yoga because they just want to sit around and read and repeat scriptures, but it's a lot harder to integrate, whereas Bhakti yoga, you can feel bliss right away, you can sing, you can chant, you can do mantras, you can create an altar, you can look for the divine everywhere, And this one is, what else is Bhakti Yoga? So that's, Amma's main recommend. Of course, they all kind of weave into each other the higher, the more you put them into practice. But Amma talks a lot about Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga as well. You can see her being like an incredible karma yogi, yoga of action, selfless service. And but she also says, like the two wing, bhakti is this yoga of devotion. If you have only the devotion but you don't have any knowledge, then you can have these high experiences, these incredible blissful ecstatic experiences, but then they just leave because you don't have the wisdom and understanding of how to maintain them and where the energy goes and how we disperse that energy. So the wings of the bird, she says, are bhakti and karma yoga, and then bhakti and jnana yoga, and then karma yoga is the tail, and that's like, how do we do actions in the world? How do we be around others? How do we work? How do we, go about our days? There's so many ways that our energy can get dispersed, and can we stay in that divine alignment through a normal day? And there's that famous, phrase in Taoism, I think, which is like, before enlightenment, you fetch water and chop wood, and then after enlightenment, you're also fetching the water and chopping wood. So it's like you're still doing actions, but you just learn how to do them in a way that orients to the divine. And so the spiritual path. So it's, in terms of, it's, the spiritual path in the scriptures of Hinduism, they talk about, and in the tradition of Sanatana Dharma, the wisdom is passed down from teacher to disciple, and it's been like that. That's how this transmission is shared, because you can talk about it all you want, but it's so hard to perceive because this divine energy is so subtle. You need a representation of it. You need to experience it, basically. And when you can experience it in a person, when you can really trust in that person and feel it in that person and know it in that person, and develop that faith that person is always established there, and have that experience of that divine connection through that person, that's how it gets transmitted. The divine energy is always there, but can we access it right now and right now and right now? Probably not. But through our relationship with people, through a relationship with a true guru, we can access that, or someone who's carrying that spark. So that's the advantage of a guru, and almost a satguru, someone that's fully established all the time. That Amma says that's for someone who really, really wants to be on the spiritual path. Like, it's essential. The ego is so subtle, and there's so many traps to fall into. There's so many questions. There's so many things that are hard to work out, that when you're in the guru, it's like having a rocket booster. You need that rocket booster to break through the orbit of the Earth, to escape the orbit, to go into outer space. And I used to think at first, when I met Amma, I was like, this is too hard to be in India. I'm going to go back and apply what I learned in the United States. And then I was in the United States, and I was like, oh my God, this is even harder. I'm so lost. I need to get back to Amma. And these lessons are so deep, and it's like, we have to develop our faith. Can we really develop our faith that the divine is always there, that it's always with us every moment? Can we really sense that presence, feel that presence, trust in that presence? And do we really know how to work with all the traps of our mind, our emotions, society, all these things, how to act, how to move forward in the world? It's very challenging. It's, people talk about freedom, but it's like we can run around all over the world, but we're still ourselves. And if we're not willing to open and change and grow, and if we want to open to and connect to the biggest divine reality that's always there, we need someone who knows the way, basically. And the only sakura I know of is Amma. At first, when I met her, I was just having so much trouble, and I wanted more from her. I wanted to talk to her. I wanted to ask her questions. She's always surrounded by hundreds of people, and I was like, I need someone. I tried to kind of run away from her a little bit and find someone who I could actually talk to, and quickly I realized, it's just, you just can't find a guru. it's not easy. So, and most of them don't want to be found because they don't want the attention and they don't want the drama. So, to find one is like, they say it's like one of life's greatest gifts. It probably is, is like, and I, as I see all the hard times that people are going through all over the world, and of course I've been through my hard times too, but I just cannot imagine how people are doing it without the faith of having a guru. It's like, before I met Amma, I had incredible spiritual experiences, and I thought that I could figure it out myself, but it's hard to have faith when things seem really dark, and all around you there's darkness. So on the spiritual path, having a guru is so it's like precious. You can't imagine anything more precious, beyond, like 1,000 million times beyond what you can even imagine, is possible. It can open up inside of us through the guru. But if we don't, and there's also teachers. People have wisdom here and there, that to share with us about spirituality, about life, about psychology, about all the subjects, which are, which I didn't used to value as much at first, but now that I have more faith and establishment with my guru, I feel like I'm able to appreciate and enjoy so many more things that others have to share as well. But it's a real difficult trap, and if you don't have a guru, and if you're looking for one, it's because the humans naturally want to worship. Humans naturally want to surrender. I think everyone, like, we want to fully trust, we want to fully believe, we want to fully let go. And in Western society, that turns into, like, I feel like it turns into worship of celebrities or sports stars or brand. Like, we have this idea that something should be perfect out there, and humans aren't perfect. It's very frustrating. Humans, no one has it all together unless you're a Sakura, basically. And it's very discouraging, and it can be easy to think, oh, there's no perfection out there. No one knows what they're talking about. There's no true wisdom out there. Especially in America, we're such a new country and things change so much, and we just like to throw everything out that came before us. But so having a guru is so essential. But teachers are there, but you have to be so careful with, especially spiritual teachers. People can have experiences, people can have a lot of charisma, and they can, whether intentionally or unintentionally, they can really prey on people who are vulnerable and lost. And that's something I've seen so much over the years, is really sincere, really sensitive, really open people. They have nowhere to turn to. They don't have anybody they can trust, that's really safe, that truly has their best interest in mind, because they, you want to understand what's going on with me. What do I do? Where do I turn? And a lot of these spiritual teachers will have there's so much subtle ego that they kind of pull you in, and you start being controlled in various ways, and it's so dangerous, so damaging. A true guru is never gonna force anything. A true guru will never give an ultimatum or never have you feel like you're compelled to do anything, because a true guru is the embodiment of the divine, is the embodiment of love, which loves us at every moment. And love will never force you. Love will never manipulate you. Love will never have an ulterior motive or their own love doesn't have selfish agenda. Love just is. When you love someone deeply, you love even their flaws, and you don't try to if you try to force, then you're trying to control someone else. You're rejecting who they are. You're rejecting themselves. So a true guru, and that's how you can, when you have more and more discernment, that's how you can really tell how much to trust someone, is how safe are they, how much do they want something out of me, how the less someone wants out of you, the more you can relax and trust. And so that's one way you can kind of judge the quality of teachers. But the true guru, you can really surrender your whole mind, your whole, you can surrender so much, because if you have a true guru, they don't need anything from you. They don't want anything from you. Money doesn't mean anything to them. Their sole goal on earth is to lead people towards their own divinity. And the only way you can do that is through love. So it all comes back to love. It all comes back to the divine. If you're wondering about a teacher, is it love? It's a good question to ask. Is this love? And do I feel like is there something compelling me? Oh, I have to do something. I should do something. Like, there's never any force that's involved in love. So and yeah, we're in this dark age of materialism, and so many people are going to training, so many people are having experiences of plant medicine and shamanism and whatever, and they're charismatic, but there's so much Western conditioning to go through. I've had to go through so much conditioning, so many layers I never would. It's hard to even admit that you have some of these layers and desires and egos. I've been doing this for 10 years and healing work for 10 years, like really trying to genuinely serve others, really trying to to be selfless. Really try to offer through kirtan, through my healing work, through everything. And you have to go there's a lot to go through, and it's not easy. It's very scary to stop trying to get validation from people, to stop wanting people to respect you, to really say it's not I don't care if people don't respect me, screw them. No, it's trusting in ourselves so much that what happens on the outside we know is not a reflection of us. So we're not having all these manipulations and psychological games to try to get, oh, I know so much, oh, I'm gonna puff myself up like this, I'm going to dominate people in a subtle ways and show how much knowledge I have. A true kind of the more you align with the divine, the more humble you are. When someone's not humble, they're imposing on others. They're trying to force something, basically, and love isn't force. Love is love is just enjoying. If you love life, you're enjoying your life. You're enjoying what's there, whether it's a challenging person, whether it's a challenging situation, whether it's a city or the country, you're enjoying it. And so that's one way to look at also teachers, like, are they happy? Because it's practical. Spirituality is practical. It's not just about doing practices and rules and things. It's about managing life so that we can be happy. But there are, values. In different cultures have different perspectives on this, and I think a lot of them are valid. The Sanatana Dharma and yoga philosophy has the yamas and niyamas. Those are like the pillars of values, and they're very subtle, which applies to, they apply to situations on so many different gross layers and subtle layers. You can take them so far. And I won't get into them here, but I feel like I got a little bit wavy and kind of out on tangents, but yeah. So, and something I feel, something that's important to me, something that I keep coming back to, is how important it is for people to kind of understand this process, because I haven't really found a lot of resources where people are explaining it and they're not trying to sell you on something or trying to get you involved in their group or whatever. And there's so many pieces of the truth in all these different groups, but it's I've met so many sensitive people, so many people that are so sincere and so open, and they feel they confused. They're because everywhere they turn, there's this darkness that they don't understand, and people are trying to convince them of something, and it doesn't make sense compared to what they learned, their insights that they had, or what they learned, insights they had in yoga teacher trainings or meditation retreats, and where is this, and of course there's no perfect, I thought that once I understood that Amma was who I wanted, what I wanted, with the teacher I wanted, I expected, the ashram to be perfect. And of course, there is no perfect place. There is no perfect, utopia. And that's not what spirituality is about, like running away to a utopia. But, the ashram is a school where you have the best conditions to work on the stuff that happens inside. And so if you run away, she says, if you run away to the Himalayas, you may be peaceful for a time, but as soon as you have experiences again with people, all that peace is gone. So we have to, there's a time also when we need to, I feel like, take more space from the world, because there's so many influences. Like, I've spent the last 5 years in Bali and in India, and I was just before that, I was in the United States and struggling so much. I just wasn't able to have the distance due to my nervous system, due to the whatever reasons. For me, I feel like it was very important for me to be away from it. It was just too close, and I needed to be in more dense spiritual environments so that I could work on those conditionings and see that there's other way to do things. And now that I'm back, I feel much different. I don't know if it would be the same if I would have stayed. And so, there is a time for it, but we need to have experiences. We need to test ourselves eventually in experience and in life, and because all of these triggers, all of these reactions are telling us something about ourselves, and where we still, where we're still, when we have these reactions, where are things that I still haven't looked at, where are things that I still haven't resolved, where are things, just because someone is angry, just because someone insults us, doesn't mean we need to be angry, doesn't mean we need to become off balance. There's all types of, life is about, there's going to be bad and good things throughout all of life, and the more deeply we understand that, the less we're going to be affected by it. It's not, but when we take it personally, it's because there's some part of us that still believes, maybe I am an idiot, maybe I am a bad person, maybe I do have these nefarious motives. So the more we become aware of ourselves and do these spiritual practices and trust ourselves, the more we can be immune and have a buffer against other people's opinions, basically, whether it's good and bad. People have told me very bad things about myself, and people have told me incredibly good things about myself. And it doesn't mean I don't want to receive compliments and appreciate it, but I am trying to be in tune with reality and how I actually am. And people can project on us, and that, when we take that too seriously and we start to believe these things mentally about ourselves, then we can cause harm. We can get spiritual egos, and there's so many people with spiritual egos that'll there's a lot of harm that can be done that way. So the spiritual path, that's kind of the basics. And I really, my own journey, the reason I like to share about this stuff is because I have met so many people that have they don't know where to turn. They don't feel like anyone is safe to ask these questions to and talk to, and that was my case too. When I had these crazy experiences at a yoga teacher training. I had just been traumatized as well. I just had gotten PTSD, and a few months later, and then I discovered yoga and how amazing it was, the philosophy and the exercises and the energy. And then I went to a yoga teacher training, and I got so blasted open. I was having these incredible energy experiences and visions and insights, and it was just wild. And I didn't have the support. Like I tried to go to the teachers, and the teachers thought I was crazy, and they ended up kicking me out, actually, of the yoga teacher training. And I was trying to find teachers, because a part of me thought I was going crazy. I felt I was going crazy, and a part of me really felt, no, this is like a spiritual process. I think that's when my Kundalini awakened as well, and I was just like, I wasn't ready for it. I hadn't prepared through spiritual practices, and I got blasted open, and I needed to find had some answers, and I just went around everywhere I could, and I just quickly found basically that no one really knew what they were talking about. And so so I feel strongly, not that I'm not enlightened or anything, but I feel strongly about supporting people that have had these difficult situations and don't know where to turn. It's actually a role I've played like most of my life. When I was working in the psych unit, I also felt really strongly about supporting people that, a lot of these people had nowhere to turn. They didn't find acceptance or care anywhere, and I enjoy being that person, and it's just so important to, I always wish that I had this safe person to say, it's going to be okay. It's like, that's totally normal. It's fine, to really feel that presence, to have that person that can really see you and understand you. It's not just words, but it's through experience, and you can feel it through someone's presence that it's okay. It's going to be okay. Like, these experiences you had are totally normal. It's a hard, the spiritual path is a hard, Amma says it's like the hardest thing you can do, basically. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't try, because, staying unconscious, staying asleep, running away, it's like, where is it going to take you? And, it's a challenging path, and it's also important not to get too serious about it, because that can, if we're just, I think everybody kind of goes there that wants to be serious about spirituality. You get obsessed with it and trying to find all the things that are wrong and how to work with them and blah, blah, blah. And then all the joy and the fun gets taken out of life. So, we need to have patience. We need to have persistence. Faith is so important, and also clarity. We need to know the path. We need to know where we're going to even know how to focus our energies. And we need to have also experience through guidance, through someone taking us there, initiating us, so to speak, or going on a retreat, a meditation retreat or training, yoga teacher training, being around a guru. So that's why, part of what I do, I teach music. I also do healing work, and create music, meditation music, healing music. What my intention is really to share my own inner connection, and to be a support to others that also want to connect to themselves deeply, to people that want to heal, people that want to let go of these conditionings, and these and through various healing work, through music, through chanting, through music lessons, like that's kind of to bring it back to me a little bit. It's just that's the motive of the things that I'm offering through all these different pathways. I'm hoping to share something special and profound and offer it to people for healing, for connection to the divine, for the connection to love, for growth, as much as I'm capable of. I'm not a guru. Like, the more I grow and the more I see, the more I realize like how crazy and unbelievably difficult and subtle it is that the guru's work is. But I feel like I've learned a lot and I've been working on myself constantly for the last 10 years, and so I feel like I do have some things to share as well. And I feel it's important to have people out there that are talking about what this is, and who can be safe people and can give encouragement and guidance and just validation to those that are lost and starting out, because people are awakening at a rate that's never before been seen. So many people have talked about this. So many people's kundalini is awakening. So many people are doing plant medicine ceremonies, and so many people are talking about this is like an age of truth. Like, people are like, with the internet, we're sharing ideas in a way that we can bypass the usual cultural conditionings. And so many people are saying, something isn't just right about the way that things are being done. This isn't really working. And, what is the way to peace? What is the way to happiness? What is the way to love? And this is what spirituality teaches, and it's, it's irrespective of time and place. Like this stuff works because, yeah, these values are timeless, and the divine, we have different circumstances in our culture, in our times, in our lives, but these are all the same themes. And so these, I used to think, oh, it may have worked then, but modern life is too calculating. Modern life is too harsh. I can't be open. I can't be loving. Like, I have to be clever. I had this obsession with figuring it out and being clever and outsmarting people, so that I wouldn't be hurt. And can I really let that go and just be like caring and loving? That doesn't sound possible. I'm just going to be hurt all the time. But it is possible, and I was hurt all the time for a while, and then you learn how to manage it, and how to use discernment, and how to the way to care about people from a distance and in different ways, so that we can maintain our center, but also be loving and caring and supportive. So yeah, if you have any questions about any more specific topics, I'm sure at some point I'll be getting more into the nuances of these different things. Bhakti yoga is something I'm been doing for a long time and teaching, and it's such a beautiful thing. Different aspects like nada yoga, sound healing is something I've been focusing on for a few years now, and learned so much about. There's so many subtle truths and things to get into that are so interesting to me. So I'm sure I'll talk more about specific topics soon. But if you have any questions, curiosities, I really love to share about these things. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you benefited from listening to this, any thoughts that you have. And yeah, thanks for listening to me talk about this subject that it's really deep and dear to my heart. Something I care a lot about. It's like the way, it's my life. It's what I'm living these last 10 years, how to live from a place connected to my heart, how to live from a place connected to spirit, how to bring that into my actions in an imperfect world. This is the work of life, the work of Earth School, so to speak. So yeah, once again, just bringing it back to our center. There's been so many thoughts and ideas, energies maybe that you've been feeling, but just go ahead and take a deep breath. Just coming back to our center. Noticing your mind. Just letting anything settle, anything unresolved settle. Noticing your energy, how it feels. And giving a moment of gratitude, connecting to the divine, whatever that means for you. Giving gratitude for this life, for this chance to enjoy, to love, to breathe. So many gifts that we have, ones we realize and ones that we don't. And so much gratitude for all the teachers that have selflessly, through so many generations, passed down this energy, this knowledge, so that we can learn how to be happy in challenging cultures and challenging situations. So thank you guys so much, those of you who made it to the end, and look forward to reading your comments, and see you in the next video.